Hey everyone, okay, so today we are going to be talking about the new Charlotte Tilbury palette, which is the Pillow Talk palette of pops. Do you need it and do you want it? Oh yes, yes. Okay, so this is a secondary palette to the original Pillow Talk palette. Now, I think the original Pillow Talk palette is really nice, but it's also one of those tricky palettes because the colors are very pinky. They can oftentimes make the eye look sore, and without concealer underneath the eye and lots of mascara, it can be quite a hard look. Also, I don't mean hard on the as in strong, but just a hard look because of the pinkiness. And also, if you don't fall into the kind of light to medium spectrum, the palette doesn't work on all skin tones. So what we have here is what I like to call a collaborative palette, which means it goes with the original palette. So you get 5.2 grams of product, which is standard for these Charlotte Tilbury palettes. And this is a palette of pops, which is basically means that the pop shade you get in the Charlotte Tilbury palettes, also more commonly referred to as a celestial shade, which is those glossy, glassy shades that you put on at the end to really make the eyes sparkle. Now, this palette can be used on its own entirely as an eyeshadow, or you could use it with the original Pillow Talk palette, which is how I would think it would work better, but it does work on its own. The only issue is because it's a palette of pops, celestial shades in general apply better with a finger. They just do. It's the nature of the product. They're so emollient that brushes don't really work. Now I'm going to show you swatches on the back of my hand, which are finger swatches, and that will give you a better representation, but we'll also go through the swatching on the face in just a moment. Now also, Charlotte Tilbury has released the Pillow Talk lip gloss, which is a brand new lip gloss, and it is perfect, truly perfect if you're looking for a nudie beige with just a hint of brown in. It's absolutely stunning, and you can pair this with the Pillow Talk lipstick, or as I would prefer, just with the Pillow Talk lip liner, which would look just scrumptious, absolutely scrumptious. So just to reiterate, you really will be applying these with your finger, and doing so with a brush just doesn't give the same effect. And this works great, the palette, with Vintage Vamp, with Dolce Vita as well. I mean, you can use them with any palette because they're pop shades, but with those two palettes, a walk of shame. With those three palettes, you'll get a great result. But anywho, let's just pop it on. So this is the prime shade, which you can maybe see because we're now back out here filming. And this is the medium shade. Now the medium shade doesn't actually show up that well on a finger swatch, but you could see it as I mentioned on the back of my hand. This is the deepest one, which really does stand out. And with a brush, you don't get that same kind of pop effect. And finally, you've got the copper shade, which is right here. And there you go, that is the swatches for you. But I got sent this as a PR sample like a week and a half ago. So I've used it quite a bit. But tomorrow morning, this will go live on Thursday morning. Tomorrow morning, it's Wednesday today, I will be ordering another 4 of these because they are so, I find it to be just incredibly beautiful to add these to the other shades in the range, that Walk of Shame, Vintage Vamp, Dolce Vita, because I love celestial shades. I think they're so pretty. And unlike some of the other celestial shade palettes that Charlotte Tilbury has released, this one is much more wearable. They're not green, forest green. These are much more my cup of tea, just heavenly. There you go. All the links are down there, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.